Hey guys, EDDBUD here. Today I've got a battle for you between two of the lighter trainers released over the last few months. It's going to be a face-off between the Hoka One One Mach 4 and the New Balance Fuecell Rebel 2. I got some decent miles and usage into both of these models so far, and both pairs today have been purchased with my own cash, so they're my own honest views. No freebies here. Just a few stats between them. Both of these I have in a UK size 11.5, which is a US 12. The Rebel 2 is quite a short shoe, comes in at about 28.5 centimeters for my UK size 11.5, weighs in at 238 grams, which is 8.4 ounces. And the Mach 4 is a tiny bit longer, about 29 centimeters. This one comes in at 265 grams, or 9.3 ounces for that same UK size 11.5. All the measurements I see for the Mach 4 indicate that it's got about 5 millimeters more stack in the heel to the Rebel 2. I think this one's about 35 in the heel and 30 in the forefoot, which gives you a 5mm drop, at least for the typical US size 9. The Rebel is 30mm to 24mm, so slightly higher heel to toe drop, but I think both shoes feel quite similar to me. Hey guys, don't forget to help the channel out by clicking that subscribe button and the bell below for notifications when we launch those new videos for you. And also, help us out with the YouTube algorithm by clicking that thumbs up and also sharing this video with your running buddies. Danke schön. We'll start with the uppers first. So as I said, the Rebel 2 is a little bit shorter in terms of length. Both shoes are about the same width in the toe box area, though there's quite a lot more height here in the toe box of the Mach 4. Perhaps it's a little more structured, I suppose, and it does feel a little bit more roomy there in the toe box. I didn't feel the Mach 4 was anywhere near as narrow as the Rincon that I tried out a couple of years back. This one seems to have a much better fit to it. The mesh material in the Rebel 2 is almost transparent in the toe box. There's a slightly thicker mesh to the Mach 4, so I think that's where it gets its structure from. The upper overall on the Rebel 2 is very, very light, and I think that's where it gets its ounce advantage over the Mach 4. The stock laces that came with the Mach 4 were just way too long, so I've replaced them with these shorter white ones, and that's improved the upper fit massively in this Hoka One One shoe. I switched them out for these less flexible and springy replacements. I think lockdown and upper comfort are fantastic actually in both shoes. There is slightly more heel structure in the Mach 4, which I think some people will prefer. The Rebel 2 is just much more flexible here in the heel. There is a very small counter there, but it's actually minute, and you can kind of see what that is with this red section here right back in the heel. Tongues are similar in thickness in both shoes, though there is some partial gusseting in the Mach 4. Absolutely nothing here in the Rebel 2. No gusseting whatsoever. Excellently crafted uppers here in both shoes, and there's really not an awful lot in it. I think if you want a more containing upper fit, then the Mach 4 might be for you. If you want a more carefree and sort of race fit type design, then I think the Rebel 2 could be the one. I'm going to call this a draw in terms of the uppers. Midsoles now. And we have two very different stories here between the Hoka shoe and the New Balance model. That FUELCELL foam underfoot will feel very familiar to those owners of the FUELCELL TC or the RC. Though I'd suggest owners of the Rebel might be in for a bit of a surprise. This shoe feels much more cushioned and spongy. It doesn't have the same type of response as the original version of the Rebel did. It's nowhere near as firm as the original version, so maybe they've dabbled with the FUELCELL formula. It's kind of a little bit like the first two Strokes albums. The first one's kind of very direct, a little firmer. The second one feels not quite as defined, I suppose. That Mach 4 is a very different beast altogether, with its sandwich of different midsole foams. I really like the implementation of the ProFly midsole here on top of that rubberized EVA. It works exceptionally well for a number of different type of running sessions. I've really enjoyed running recoveries in this, easy pace, but also at faster speeds too. I think you could probably even do some interval work in it if you really had to. The same can be said about the Rebel 2, it really is a real all-rounder. Some people have mentioned recently that they feel it's a more high-tempo shoe. I think you can use it for pretty much anything really. It's a bit like the Princess and the Pea situation. I think you can analyse this stuff a little bit too much, and is it a comfortable shoe? Does it work at different paces? Well, Yes, it does. I'd suggest now both shoes actually work for most things. I think that's probably a quite deliberate thing from both manufacturers. They want to maximize sales, don't they? And if people are buying shoes just for specific purposes, they're probably not going to wear them all that much, and they're not going to build up those good experiences and those memories about using the shoes. Producing more usable daily type shoes, I think, is probably the chief seller for most manufacturers. If you can hit a specific price point and a specific weight type of point as well, then I think you're going to make a lot of cash. And both of these shoes hit the spot really well in terms of those two aspects. The midsole surface areas do differ a little bit between the shoes, the Hoka being a little wider underfoot. Perhaps the Rebel 2's got a little bit more of a pace shoe feel about it, or maybe that's simply the fact that it just feels a little lighter. But I don't think you'll find too many issues trying to get up to speed in either of these shoes. For me, it's a bit of a tough call again on midsole. There's not an awful lot in it. I think maybe the Rebel 2 just shades it for midsole foam in terms of that very forgiving underfoot feel. I like both of them though. It's a tough one. Outsoles next. So we got that already quite chewed up ground contact rubberized EVA here in the Hoka One One Mach 4, and a slightly more standard rubber layout here in the Rebel 2. I don't know how I missed it before, but apparently this rubber's called endurance rubber. I like it. I have to say, probably not the best outsoles of my current running shoe rotation, but very usable nonetheless. Quite versatile. The Mach 4 does appear to have stabilised a little bit in terms of the outsole durability and wear that's on display, although I've got to be honest, I find it a little anxiety inducing when I utilise it on very smooth and wet surfaces. That might just be me though. The Rebel 2 rubber sections do seem to be a little bit different in terms of the compound that's used. There's not anywhere near as much wear on these black sections here on the side. All the wear seems to be from this sort of central section. Even in the heel there's no wear on the black section there, so maybe they are slightly different in terms of the formula. It's quite an odd choice there, that mint green on the outsole. I wonder who came up with that. I mean, I like it, it's different, but it's odd. Both of these though quite versatile, and they work on pretty much anything aside from wet grass. But you know, you show me a standard road running shoe that works on wet grass. No? Don't have any? Okay. Again, a bit of a tough one here between outsoles. I'm going to declare it a tie. Value now. So these come in at around about the same price, 125 Earth credits for the Mach 4 and 120 for the Rebel 2. Shoes of such range and versatility are very hard to come by, certainly at that price point. And I think that that makes these two very attractive for a range of runners. I mean, there's a £5 note in it. There's not an awful lot, so it's really tough to call a winner on value. I can see both of these lasting a pretty reasonable amount of time, though perhaps early impressions are that the Rebel 2 is holding up a little bit better than the Mach 4. Now, I think there's a bit more structure in the Mach 4, so that could have a bit of a bearing over time. I think the Rebel 2 though is a slightly better out-of-the-box package. It did take a few miles for the Mach 4 to kind of break in. The Rebel 2 was just dynamite straight away. So I think I've got to give the versatility, durability and price crown to the Rebel 2 on this occasion. Either way, two really great models. I think 2021's been pretty amazing this year, up to this point at least so far in terms of running shoes. There's been so many good models released, and these are two such models. Have you picked up either of these two guys? Are they a rate or a hate? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. A quick musical interlude for you. Since, I don't know, early noughties or something, I've been a big fan of Ben Folds. You've probably heard some of his stuff at Ben Folds 5, but he's done loads of other solo albums too, and there's loads of live albums as well that you can dip into and listen and enjoy. A good start is his retrospective, which is called The Best Imitation of Myself. I really like the track Philosophy. I really like the whole ethos of the song. I just think it's something I can get on board with there. I've certainly got my philosophy. I think quite a lot of people over the course of my life have understood it, and some people not so much. But that's okay. I'm just quite a driven man, I suppose. The track called There's Always Someone Cooler Than You is a good ethos to have as well. Yeah, there's always someone faster than you. I think it's always good to keep yourself grounded, keep yourself on the floor, on the level. There's some stonking piano playing on Ben Folds' tracks. It makes it just look so effortless as well when you see some of his live footage. It's like he's barely even trying, but he can produce these wonderful melodies. Really quite heartfelt, sentimental sort of melodies as well. But there's some aggression in there as well. It's not just sort of faffy singer-songwriter stuff. There's a bit of earth there to it, and I really enjoy it. I think you should go and check it out. Ben folds his retrospective, which is called The Best Imitation of Myself. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this one today, guys. Thanks for sticking with me to the very end of the video. If you haven't done so already, help the channel out by clicking that subscribe button and also clicking the bell for notifications when we launch those new videos. And it really helps out in terms of the YouTube algorithm if you give this video a thumbs up, like, and share it with your running buddies. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you